Hey everyone, welcome back to the Beyond Business podcast. Today we're sitting down with our social media manager, Megan Wiley, and we had a great conversation about social media. And I think there's going to be a lot of things you can take from this. If you're nervous about social media or apprehensive, I think this is going to be encouraging to you to get in there and hopefully stir up some ideas of how you can get involved without going all the way in right away. So excited for you to hear about building your birthday cake and adding the perfect icing. So Megan, thank you for joining us today on the show. Would love to start with a little background about yourself, how you got into the social media manager role, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, first of all. My career did not start in marketing. I actually have an education in human development and started my master's in mental health counseling. But throughout my education, throughout the process, realized and started to name this love for writing and this artistic leaning. I had this secret desire to be a photographer and to publish a book one day. So in this process, trying to figure out how do I make a career, make a life for myself where I have freedom to be creative, freedom to use this desire and gift of written and oral communication. And this opportunity at Beyond Blue came up and it just felt like a really great fit. I also happened to be very passionate about social media. My Instagram aesthetic was very important to me. So it just was a great fit. And over this process of becoming social media manager and leaning into some of the specifics of this role, have really felt myself become excited about this world and this work.
Yeah, that's great. And I know one of the things that immediately stuck out to me when you were coming in for this role and started to take over and get your hands dirty is because of your background with your mom's teaching side, had a huge love and passion for the grammar and punctuation side of it and making sure that things actually read properly, especially with all the little rules that we argue about. So I actually am curious from your side, do you think there are any companies or brands that could actually get away with not having great grammar, and who really needs to focus in on it?
That's a great question. I actually just recently had a conversation with a young woman getting ready to graduate college, talking about her desire to enter into the social media marketing world. And we were chatting about how to best represent your client's voice. So as a social media manager, I obviously write for clients. We discuss content and how do you want to be represented on your social media platforms. But I'm writing as the client in a lot of instances. And we were chatting about how to be professional in a sense of representing the client well, but also being authentic. If the client is horrible at grammar and that client's customers and audience maybe knows this niche, knows that this niche normally isn't speaking with grammatically correct rhetoric or using words that wouldn't fit in their niche specifically. We were just chatting about how do you make sure that this voice is represented super authentically, while also clinging to caring about how the client is represented. I care about you looking like a professional, even though maybe in your world, it doesn't matter that you use the right "your" on your Instagram post. I care that you use the right "your" on your Instagram post. So that's for sure been an interesting line to strike with some of the accounts that we work with. As far as, which niches or which clients can get away with that, I really do think that's a specific question that we would answer with the client in conversation. When possible, I want the client to look really good for their audience. There have been a handful of instances where, the client expresses, this is exactly how I want this post to go out. This is what I want this promotion or this update to sound like. And I'm dying inside because that's not how I would have written it, or it's not how I would have communicated it. But ultimately, it's about the authenticity of the client. So I don't know that I could answer specifically, is there, a specific business or niche that can get away with that? It really does depend on, the business owner, the culture of the company. And then obviously who is the audience? Who's reading this content? Do they want things that sound like grammatically correct, or do they not care? Would they actually prefer to sound like they're relating to that business owner sitting across from them who isn't going to be adept in in their communication?
Yeah, that makes me think of a funny example. I think it was last year. Somebody on our social media team that's helping build out the content that we're overseeing going out was managing a page for one of our clients who's a realtor. Big guy, 6'5", 250 plus pounds, like just a classic man's man, burly guy. And in one of the posts, she had put in like, check out this new cute house. And I had a conversation with her. I was like, he probably wouldn't say that.
Totally.
So let's find another word while still making it not be like, new house, launched, excited.
Totally, which comes down to having really important conversations with those clients.
Right.
And I mean, one of the gifts of clients who are social media clients specifically who are interested in being involved in the process is if I can sit down with you and have a conversation by just reading you and your personality, we start to pick up on those cues that maybe this burly man's man would not use the word cute when referring to a house. And I make mental note of that. So those conversations are super important.
Right. Yeah. Justin, I'll let you jump in after. There was one other thought I had of there's sometimes these brands that their social media platform does not fit what they do. And the one that always strikes me is Wendy's Twitter account. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they're infamous for being most of the time rude and starting fights and confrontational, which doesn't really fit them making hamburgers at all. But they've become famous for it because they were the first ones to kind of jump into this space and say, we're actually going to do something different and kind of be a little cocky in social media. And there's been these interesting interactions online. So it makes me think to what you said of sometimes it's kind of like a calculated risk where it could have gone horribly, but people actually kind of respect them for it now.
Totally.
Yeah. So I don't know if you had anything to add as far as JT on the social media side, maybe tying it back to the business owner, because I do want to start a longer conversation about, especially in 2020, why social media. And I think a lot of people woke up to why social media in that regard.
Yeah. I think the only thing from a business perspective is like, you know, as you're starting to think about in this conversation, as far as like trying to be as grammatically correct as possible in our post, you know, what is the balance that we're trying to find as far as for a personal brand, we're looking at somebody and we're going, okay, does this person speak this way, or how is the tone going to come across? But then when we kind of take that from the business perspective, is it important for the client to level up their grammatical game even if people are going to be questioning if this is actually them posting or not? Because I feel like even though that's because we've had, you know, from our big burly real estate agent, you know, it's, you know, yes, that he necessarily wouldn't speak that way too much, but I still feel it's important in the long term to have those things correctly put out there so that he's not turning off potential clients who don't maybe know him. So where is that balance? How do you really find that balance? And I know it's hard, but like, what would we say to a client or a business to say, this is why? And it's important, even if you hear people coming to you, your best friend comes to you and goes, I know you're not posting because you would never say that, but does it matter that it's the best friend saying that and not necessarily, you know, their clients? Or
are we trying to market to the best friend?
Yeah,
or are we marketing to a potential audience who is really looking for credibility at that point?
Yes.
I mean, just a personal anecdote to relate to this conversation. I recently was looking for a skincare product specifically, and was on this website of this skincare company, and in their logo, the logo of this product that I was looking at, I'm trying to remember what the grammatical error was now. There was a misuse of the plural word of whatever this product I was looking at. The plural was incorrect. It was YS instead of IES, right?
In the name of the
in
company,
the actual
like the
logo of this product.
Okay.
But the product has unreal reviews. I mean, people are ranting and raving about how this product has changed their lives.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the ingredients and it's everything I'm looking for. And So I decide, okay, I'm probably going to buy this product. However, I'm also going to send a loving corrective email to this company because this is important to me. And normally, and this is what I'm getting at. Normally, I wouldn't even give that company the time of day. Yeah. If I'm looking at a website or a product and I see you did not care enough to ensure that your clients are receiving, your customers are receiving the best that you have to offer, the best of, copy on your website, the best grammar on your product, the best aesthetics. If you're not giving me the best, I'm not sure I want to put my money or my face in your hands at this point. So I did send an email to this company and they sent me the product. And by the time they sent me the product, the grammar error had been corrected. Wow. And I check my email and I have a response from this company. They have thousands and thousands of reviews for this specific product, but it looks to be like a smaller skincare company. Yeah. And I received an email saying, thank you so much. We appreciate it. I talked to my logo person. We have it edited. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention to detail. And I'm looking at this product going, I remember running it over to my husband, like, I did that. Yeah. I fixed that. So my inner grammar nerd got a nice ego stroke. So all that to say, I think there is a certain level of, we want to be true to the voice and the personality of the client, and also recognize that your potential audience, your clients, your customers are looking for a level of care, a level of offering your best that is not reflected in careless errors like the wrong your or the wrong plural version of a word that just communicates, I don't care enough about you to ensure that I'm communicating with you or I'm offering you products that are in line with what you deserve as my potential customer. Yeah. So that's how I would answer that question to our big burly real estate agent. We won't use cute, but we do care about some of these grammatical things.
Yeah, that's great.
That's a great answer. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah.
Awesome. I think our next podcast, we should probably be getting our photographer, videographer, and producer on here to talk about how to take a good cell phone video.
Congratulations, Jared. You're up.
So, I do want one follow-up question to that. Yeah. Just so we're talking about these kind of service-based companies that aren't that glamorous when it comes to kind of showcasing their business on social media. So from your perspective, what is the important piece of social media that, because I would say that most of these businesses, especially ones that are run by probably people that are older than say 40 years old, are saying this doesn't matter. Like I don't care that I have a bunch of pictures of my plumbing work on social media. So what would you say to that, as far as, like, you mentioned that kind of at the beginning of that answer of just saying that it is important for all businesses, all industries to have some sort of social media presence. So what are the things from that we could tell business owners of why this is important, even if you think that your plumbing job or your landscaping job or whatever it is doesn't matter?
Absolutely. That's a great question. I think more than ever, because of the power of social media, we're seeing, even in some of these service industries, that people are looking to partner with, purchase from, interact with people who are real. There's a reason that the Targets of the world, the Amazons, in most cases of the world, continue to receive business, because when I call Target and say, this product is not working out for me, they say, great, bring it back, toss it. We don't care. Your money will return to your card in, 3 to 6 business days. Yeah. Or I email Amazon and say, my lotion bottle was busted in transit and I have this broken lotion bottle. Don't worry, toss it away. We'll send you a new one, no problem. Right? So people want, not necessarily saying that Target and Amazon are super great, authentic people examples, but
largest brands out there.
People are looking for, I want to know that I'm interacting with a company who is real, who is active, who is consistent, who's going to engage with me as a person and not just come fix my pipes and not care about me as a person. There is this certain level of, I think there's pushback in social media in the same way that social media has grown in its relevance and in its power. There's a little bit of pushback because people are starting to recognize that it's really easy to be inauthentic on social media and in life in general, but especially on social media. I can present the best of the best and not give you my real life story. So people are looking for real. So the reason that social media is important for every niche is if I'm looking for a plumber, if I'm looking for a skincare company, if I'm looking for a real estate agent, I want to know that you're A, real, engaging with the world, and B, like you have a personality, you are like you care about what you do. Because if you care about what you do and you're presenting that to the world, I'm probably going to care about what you do and I'm going to want you to do it for and with me. And to kind of circle back to Chris, the question that you asked of how do we, help our clients engage with social media super creatively? What are some ideas? I think one of the things that we've been pushing clients to take advantage of that very few have is not just photo content, but video content. Yeah. People I want to see your face. We have a couple of skincare companies where we've told these women who are running these companies, like, your audience wants to see your face. They want to hear you talk about skincare. They want to hear you talk about self-care. In the world of mental health, we want to hear you talk about the benefits of X, Y, and Z that you're talking about on your social media, that you're having conversations about in your one-on-one sessions with your clients. Like, your audience on social media wants to hear that content because then they feel like they're actually getting benefit from you and they're engaging with a real person. So that's why, that's why I would argue that for every niche, social media is important. And I'm trying to remember one of the questions that you asked me. Oh, you did mention, for the mature adult who's saying, I'm not really sure I see benefit in social media. Maybe because they don't themselves engage with social media. That's that crazy thing that their grandkids do. Like, how do I communicate to that client? Actually, social media is super beneficial for you. I would argue more often than not, we have a really broad audience and spectrum of people who are engaging. I think it's very easy to become tunnel visioned. So if you don't engage with social media, you assume that no one does, right?
Yeah.
Or you assume that no one in your age, cultural, social bracket does. I would argue there's not a demographic that does not engage with social media. We see it from 7 and 8 year olds who have smartphones to the 70 and 80 year olds who have smartphones.
Yeah.
I get Facebook videos from my grandma on a almost daily basis. Like, this is a world that and I would argue that in especially a COVID and hopefully sooner rather than later a post-COVID world, people are realizing I really need connection. Yeah. So if it's connection to my plumber or it's connection to my bestie who lives across the country, we are desperate for connection. So there's not an age bracket, there's not a demographic that's not engaging with this world. So the argument of we're pitching to a client who said, well, I'm really selling to 50 to 70 year olds, so I'm not really sure that a social media campaign is necessary for me. My initial reaction is, wait, actually, that's who you want to be marketing to. Yeah. And there's a way that we can do that really well and really effectively. Because everyone's on it. Everyone's engaging with social media.
And I think that's the big thing is that authenticity that you bring with your social media account. If you can do it in the right way and you're not using a bunch of stock images and those kind of things, it builds trust. And the other thing that I think about a lot, especially for that older generation, kind of thinking this doesn't matter, is I think we can all agree here in the room that this is not going to become less important, right? It's only going to become something that people are putting more stock into as far as like, do I want to hire this company? Let me go check them out on social media and see what they do, or see if I can trust them, see if I can find the person that's going to show up at my door and come into my home. And that's a very important thing. And just because you may not necessarily be getting a lot of engagement on your post, that doesn't mean people aren't looking at it, right?
Right.
So I think all of those things really blend into, it is important. And, from a perspective of what you can get out of it, it's relatively inexpensive to do, to hire someone or to try to just kind of bootstrap if you need to, because
Totally.
it doesn't take a lot to, I think, be above average. Right. And I think there's a lot of resources out there that people can find to help them through this. So
Absolutely.
yeah. Yeah. So great answer.
Internet is full of free knowledge.
Yes, it is.
It's the age of Google.
Yeah, you've had triggered several things and questions the topics to touch on, but I think to narrow in, one of the things you were talking about, and you said the keyword of trust, this is not an automatic overnight shift. If you start posting on social media tomorrow, your sales aren't going to go up 500%.
Absolutely.
And like you talked about with that skincare brand, I bet it took seeing their content or their ads or whatever is several times, and maybe even a word of mouth reference, and all these things working together. And we had Matt on here a few weeks ago, and we were talking about nowadays, I think the number is anywhere, somebody has to see your content 5 to 7 times before they ever pull the trigger. So maybe we can talk a little bit about that longevity and why that is, and the importance of, continuing to push on and not expecting, because we talk with a lot of our clients, not expecting even within the first couple of months. This is a long-term game. We're thinking 3 to 5 years down the road right now.
Right. Yeah. In a world and in a culture of instant gratification, it's frustrating for clients often who are, well, you started my social media campaign 3 weeks ago. Like, why haven't I seen X, or why hasn't anyone commented? And you're absolutely right. It really is the long game with social media. We're building in the same way that, and this sounds so cliche, but I'm just going to go for it. In the same way that any relationship takes time to build trust. Yep. This is not, I engage with your Instagram page, I engage with your Facebook, I'm looking at your LinkedIn, and I automatically feel this sense of trust. Now, that does happen quicker the more established your social media presence is, because if I'm looking for a product of some kind and I pull up your social media and I see other people are A, liking, B, commenting, engaging with your content, there is this deep breath exhale for me, like, other people trust you, right? Yeah. Like, if I see that no one trusts you, no one's engaging with you, well, it's going to take me a little bit longer to establish a level of care, wanting to, again, place my money, place my skin, place my home in your hands. Yeah. But we cannot guarantee to our clients that you open an Instagram account or you start a Facebook page that you're going to see sales skyrocket, or you're going to see people reaching out to you the next day. Which is why, we're from out of the gate, we're encouraging clients, like, we're going to start this now. You want sales tomorrow. Social media might not get you sales tomorrow. However, in 3 months, 6 months, when we've established a presence for you and with you, you might start to see engagement on your page. People are going to start to share your content. And then organically, there happens this trust that's built, this community that's built around your product and your niche, that we've seen really great success with a lot of clients.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think about the way of how social media is so uniquely putting people in a position where they can interact with their customers and dial it in. And I don't know if there's maybe a question underlying here, but have seen this with a lot of people where if they're about to demo or release a new product, they'll go out and ask for feedback on it or run surveys on social media. And so it's this live interaction you're getting with the core of which your company is supported by. So making sure that they're taken care of while also trying to reach new people. And so maybe we can talk a little bit about maybe not leveraging, but you're building these relationships with your customers. I think at one of our skincare brands where her customer service is unbeatable. I mean, she'll sit on the phone with an hour with someone to talk about their skincare needs. Right. And social media is just giving her the power to do that to the next level and really dial into what your key customers are doing or wanting from you.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think this is one of the reasons that we see, if we're going to talk about Instagram specifically, this is one of the reasons we see the Instagram influencer movement be so robust and just kind of exploding in a way that it feels a little bit crazy, is because, again, it comes back to authenticity. People want to know that there are real people behind your business, your product, and that real people are benefiting from it. I mean, I'll go back to my story of correcting the skincare company. The only reason I purchased from this company was because there were thousands and thousands of 4.5, 5-star reviews. If that hadn't happened, I see a grammatical error on your logo, like, next.
Yeah.
There are lots of skin products out there, but I'm seeing like people are being affected by and changed by your product.
Yeah.
I'm going to pause. I'm going to take a moment to consider, like, actually, I'm seeing that people are benefiting from this. So to come back to what you're saying, Chris, it's a matter of you get reviews and you get feedback from people because you care about your existing customers, but also because you care about the customers to come. You want them to see this is not just hearsay. This is real. This is people are benefiting from the work that I do, the products that I offer, the food that I cook at my restaurant. Like, there are real people who love what my company, what my business is creating. So that comes back to the authenticity that we're trying to get at for clients. Is we're not just putting out noise for people, right? That's one of the things we believe in at Beyond Blue is we're not just putting out noise. That's why we hate using stock images. So the world of social media, your social media team cries when we don't have content because we want you to look authentic to your audience.
Yeah. Right. And I think the power to see in some of this and social media, and also to kind of go back to reputation and reviews, which we talked about with Joseph and when we talked about SEO, is that you not only purchased the product because of that, but you felt compelled enough to reach out to them to tell them to change something that you saw was grammatically incorrect. Right. Like, that was the level of, like, you trusted them and you said, I want you to know about this because I care now from just reading reviews and seeing all these things that, like, I'm going to reach out to you and help you out a little bit.
Right.
And that just goes to a different level of the power of, having positive reviews. Because if you didn't come across a company that had a bunch of glowing reviews, you probably just would have canceled out and found a different company. Now they're still sitting there with a logo that is representing their brand on the face of everything they do with a grammatical error.
Right.
So it's just like that's pretty powerful when you really think about it, right?
Right.
So that's cool.
And no guarantee that all customers will be that dedicated and engaged.
Yeah.
Like, I'm making all of the skincare companies shaking their boots a little bit. I'm coming for you.
Yeah. Anyone listening to this episode is going to go scan their website.
Or you can just call us and we'll scan it for you.
That's right.
Megan's hourly charge is $5,000.
Yes.
Or just free product.
There you go. There you go.
I honestly, I wonder how much business they may have lost from people seeing that and going, nope.
Totally.
Like, I don't know. My mom is that way. My mom is a retired school teacher and she is, like, on point with that stuff. And I think she would have probably done the same. The littlest thing for her will turn her off. And
Absolutely.
Like, she probably would have seen that and been like, nope, next. And she was not going to look into reviews probably because maybe she does probably, but
which is a much wider conversation, but it makes me think about the helpfulness of having someone who doesn't have a biased eye on your business. Because let's be honest, a lot of our clients, understandably so, are really invested. And so we're coming in and calling their baby ugly or pointing out certain things. And so even just thinking back to our conversation with John, it ties into a website loading speed. And am I losing people because it takes too long to load? Or what is my customer experience like we talked about with Joseph? So this is just a piece of that. And it can be overwhelming. There's a lot of different things to focus on in building your online image, which is why it helps to have some sort of team looking out for you and checking those things. And I've caught plenty of things on websites before customers ever saw them. Probably may hopefully save some sales or a lead funnel,
Totally.
Yeah.
The details matter.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to get to this eventually. And as you're talking about putting out noise, and we've kind of been dancing around it, but want to dial in on what should be shared on social media and what social media is not for and how it can be abused. And the underlying term here, or underlying thought that I have is every social media post should not be a sales pitch. That's more often than not. Right. I would say even nowadays, you want your ratio to be super high to the point where it's maybe 8 to 10 posts that aren't sales posts, and then the occasional special or offer or asking for business. Because like we talked about, if I'm just getting to your page and you're already asking for my business, I don't know anything about you yet.
Right.
So maybe we can talk a little bit.
Buy me dinner first.
Right. Take me out, treat me on the town.
Nice.
maybe we can talk a little bit. We can change up the example we want of, let's say, the company, but would love to dive into what does it look like and what does it mean to provide value? Because we'll maybe steer away from plumbing, but I'll say for this example is I want to see your team members. I want to see the work they're doing. Even if it's just a holiday post, it lets me know that you're engaged and recognize what's going on in the world and you're not just putting out stock photos all the time of sales pitches. So maybe we can dive into a little bit of what are some of those creative ways I can provide you with value and not always seem like I'm asking for your business and building your trust first.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm going to go back and piggyback off of something I've said previously, because I don't want to scare clients from taking real authentic photos if they're not super confident in their iPhone skills. Your audience desperately wants to watch you in action, wants to see. I'll give a couple examples. You mentioned like your staff. We want to see you guys hanging out at a Christmas party together at the end of the year. I want to see photos of your front desk receptionist and what she looks like and he or she looks like, what they're doing in the morning. I want to see the smile on your ex person's face as they're going about a project or working throughout the day. So I don't want to confuse good social media content with perfect social media content. Yeah. We don't need perfection. I feel like the title of this podcast could just be authenticity, right? Your audience wants authenticity from you. And that's why people are so turned off by, I show up at your Facebook or I show up at your Instagram and every post is, go to our website, buy this new thing.
We're the best.
We're the best. Which is not authentic. Skincare example. You're not always the best. There has to be this level of relatability, authenticity, and honesty, right? So if I'm having a conversation with you as a business owner and the entirety of the conversation, you're saying, did you buy my product? Did you know we're the best? Did you know that we got 5-star reviews on Google for the last X amount of years? And why haven't you bought our product yet? I'll give you 20% off. And that's the entirety of our conversation. I'm like, dude, again, I don't know you. Like, tell me about you. Tell me about your company, about your team culture, about what you guys do for fun. Tell me about why you're excited about what you're doing. Why did you get into the restaurant industry, the plumbing industry, the skincare industry? Like, I want to know about who and the what and the why behind what you're offering me. So that feels super important. And, Instagram is one of our go-to examples because I think it's one of the best ways we can reach people. Facebook has become this strange politicized thing, and Instagram still somehow, when I show up at Instagram, maybe it's because I'm an artistic, visually drawn person, and I think a lot of millennials are. I'm drawn to your Instagram profile because I can see what you're doing all at once. But I'll just use Instagram as an example. If I see on your Instagram, every single one of your photos, every one of your posts is your product or 25% off in big, bold letters, I'm like, I could go to Target. I'll just go to Target and I'll enjoy myself much more than scrolling through your product on your page that is shouting at me, right? Yeah. So there is this level of, I want to relate to you as a human. I want to relate to your company. And I want to know that you're not just trying to get my money from me, which you are. Yeah. And that's okay. Yep. But there has to be this level of relational trust that's built before you get to that point.
The story that comes to mind for me, there's a couple examples. When I was more involved in the networking world, if I ever went to an event, and I went to a couple one that they called it speed dating. And so you basically have 90 seconds to meet this person, swap what you do, and then see if it was a connection you could benefit each other. And there were some times where I would sit across from someone, and after the 30-second pitch, they would say, so do you have anybody who could benefit from my business? I was like, I just met you. I'm not here to start sending you leads. I want to see if there's a connection, if we can introduce ourselves to other people. And that was immediately a hard turnoff of like, I don't think this is going to work because all you see me as is just a transaction.
Right.
Yeah. Which I think is what you're alluding to. And as we tie this into 2020 and everything that's gone on, I think about a really good example. We have a client who owns a local restaurant. Let's just be honest. Restaurants are hit hard this year. Not a great year. A lot of things are going on. And when things first hit, they were obviously completely shut down for in-person dining and had to shift to all delivery and carry out. And so I hopped over and just on an iPhone, shot a couple videos that were all under a minute, and they were real and honest. And the owners were saying, this is where we're at. The initial support has been amazing. Thank you so much. Like, we love our community. We've been able to bring back some staff. And it was just a live, real, raw update of where they were at and the continued help they need moving forward. It wasn't an ask for more business. It was just like, here's where we're at. We all want to support each other. They did a couple things where they brought meals out to families in need, and we're able to share that and show people how they were giving back. So guys, I'm not getting to a question here, but just loved seeing that because it was real and raw. It wasn't a fancy studio with a big light and these nice mics. It was just an iPhone and the two owners being like, this is where we're at.
Totally.
You know?
And I can attest to the story you're sharing from a social media perspective. Those posts got the most engagement, got more engagement than anything else they had shared, because there's this level of people seeing, oh my gosh, you are speaking to something I'm experiencing. You're relatable. You're a person with emotion. I see it on your face. And there was this level of engagement that we had not seen with that account previously. So I think that's a huge encouragement for clients. And even just you sharing that you showed up at their restaurant with an iPhone, right? So proof that we can get good content. That's not perfect, but that's really real. That's what people want to engage with.
Right. Kind of want to start moving to a close. Justin, is there any final wrapping thoughts or questions or things we can touch on that would maybe be a value point we haven't touched on yet for a business owner, or maybe, and we can obviously pass it back to Megan, but I want to get your thoughts on phrasing a question as far as like, here's a couple simple steps to take. Like, if you're not in there, get in there, and here's a way to start. Just start. You're going to make some mistakes. You're not going to get it perfect, but just start, and you'll learn along the way of what your customers are looking for.
Well, one thing I have been thinking about as we've been talking about this is really connecting this for business owners, because I think what we're doing here, we've had almost all of our department heads kind of on the podcast so far, and really connecting to this, because one of the things at Beyond Blue that we value and believe so deeply in is the overall marketing that we're doing for somebody. And so how does social media really connect and help drive? Because if we just do social media for somebody, like, or somebody is out there just trying to figure out, I want to do this social media and I'm not seeing the results or getting what I want out of it, it may be because there's other things. Like social media will enhance something that we're doing with ads, which will enhance the reputation through SEO, which will enhance what we're doing with the video that we capture. Like, all of these things matter. So how does social media really help enhance the other pieces of what we're doing here at Beyond Blue, and what other business owners can kind of look to get out of the overall picture of marketing when it comes to not only the day we're in today, but also moving into 2021?
Yeah, that's a great question, Justin.
Yeah.
I just got a visual in my mind.
Awesome.
My artistic brain. If you're trying to create a marketing campaign to benefit your company, let's say you're building a cake. You're baking a cake. You could try to build one. Might not be edible.
I mean, you kind of build it first and then you bake it, right?
If you're baking a cake, your marketing campaign, you have your SEO, you have your ads, and we're doing GMB, reputation management. You have a great website. You have this like awesome batter, and your like cake is probably delicious. If we don't put frosting on that thing to make it look really good, no one is going to eat your cake, right? Or few strange people will eat your cake who don't like frosting.
I mean, I'll pretty much eat any cake. So I got the sweet tooth. So.
Depends on how hungry we are. But I really do think that social media is that it's the aesthetic, it's the drawing factor. It makes your cake, makes your business look really, really good. Yeah. And it is this like enticing thing that says, hey, look, we really care. We're real people. We're engaging with the world. And so it does benefit your SEO campaign when people come from a Google search, or they come from an ad, or they're seeing your website. They're going to somehow end up at your social media and see like, wow, these people actually are engaging with the world that I know, with people that I know, and I feel seen, cared for, heard. I now trust you. I want to engage with you in a way that's actually meaningful and ultimately beneficial for both parties, right? So if we don't add frosting to that cake, nobody's coming to your birthday party. I hate to break it to you.
Yes. I love that. I love that. And that really does kind of, I think, give a good visual for people to understand that like all of these pieces matter. And I think we just came up with another good title for this podcast of how to get more icing on your cake.
I love it.
How to get more people at your birthday party. We just had all the analogies. Joseph was talking about a tree, and I can't remember what John was talking
apples
about.
and
We're all over the place with the food. That's awesome. Oh man. Well, yeah, before we close, Megan, any final thoughts or encouragements to a business owner across any industry in the social media world or sphere?
Yeah, I do think as with any element of your marketing campaign, or really any element of your business, running your business, there really does have to be this posture of humility and learning, right? So for the business owner who's like, I don't myself engage with social media, I can't do that, or that's not going to be beneficial. The humility piece is actually, I'm willing to try. I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to be teachable. So for the business owner who's feeling overwhelmed by social media and where and how to start, just start. Just take the next step. Look up a YouTube video. Call your local marketing agency. Ask your teenage daughter or granddaughter. Like, start somewhere. And then for the business owner who's maybe already engaging with social media, not seeing the fruit that they're looking for, remember, it needs to be good, but it doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
And there does need to be this level of authentically engaging with real people in real time. Yeah. So those would be the two encouragements I would shoot out to the business owner looking to bake a really good cake and frost it.
Love that. Love that. Well, thank you so much for joining us. As always, this conversation and the ones we had is so valuable, and I think we touched on a lot of things, and it could be overwhelming, but I think we gave a lot of good tidbits along the way. So thank you so much for your expertise and for diving in and embracing it.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Megan.
See?
That was good. I like it.
I even held the beat on the camera.
I saw that.
Yeah. I counted to 2. 1, 2.
It's too bad you mouthed that while you were
Right. Look at Jared.
Great. Cool. And then for this piece, I think you just, it's so hard when I like can hear my own voice. In these.
Sure.
For this piece, it's like, hey guys, just want to let you know that we just dropped our newest podcast this week with Megan Wiley, our social media manager. And the thing that I thought about is like, we were supposed to talk about social media today, but we talked more about authenticity or something like that. And then Megan's like, yeah, I'm excited to speak with you guys today. I love social media.
So is this supposed to be framed as the podcast is coming soon? So it would be
No,
like
we just dropped it. Like it's live.
okay.
And obviously we want that hook to what, the total
30
15
seconds?
Yeah, 30 seconds tops. I'd say. Yeah.
But don't say anything about like where the link is located because we'll want to be able to use this on all platforms.
Right.
So for Facebook, it'll just be in the post. For Instagram, it'll obviously be in the bio. So
Yeah,
Right.
I don't know, obviously, where we're normally going to post it, but normally people say, like, find it anywhere that you listen to your podcasts, or, in case unless we don't have it everywhere.
Right.
I can say that if I'm ending, am I ending this bit?
Think so.
Yeah.
I can say, find it anywhere you listen to podcasts. Or do you want me to say that?
You're kind of like the guest here.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you're not like leading our podcast, so I don't want you to be like, yeah, check out our podcast at
Okay,
wherever you
good
find
call.
our podcast. Like,
Good call.
So
Okay.
maybe Chris can lead in with that. And then honestly I don't think you really need to say where to find it or anything like
Yeah.
that.
Cool.
Just
Okay.
give the value.
I got it.
Don't know how to find this podcast, then just don't even listen.
That's authentic.